High volume, low pressure spray gun. Not battery operated, this one's electric, you need to plug it in. And it can be used for spraying many different things, and I have not opened this up yet. I generally use paint guns that I connect to my air compressor. I have high volume, low pressure there, plus the conventional high pressure, low volume, or high pressure, high volume, or depends how well you adjust it. So what I need to do is put some polyacrylic on some signs, and this is an example of one of them right here. And I decided that it would be a good place to use this Batavia Max Spray Plus high-speed motor spray gun. It says so right on the box. So this was sent to me to demonstrate and review, and I thought this would be a perfect application for it. So let's see what's in the box. Yeah, right off the top, we got a piece of foam that protects some things in here. And there is a manual. And there are some tools in here. Well, I shouldn't say tools, but different tips and paint filters. It's very important. You always want to filter your paint or finish. In my case, when you use a polyacrylic, I will still make sure I pour it through the filter first. If you get any little gremlin in there, it'll mess your whole project up. Been there, done that with regular paint guns. Let's get the rest of this out of here. This here is the motor part with the cord. And then we have the material tank, and that appears to be all that's in there. One of the first things I wanted to look at here is the pickup tube, if it's adjustable or not, because if you are running low on material and you're pointing down like this, you're fine because the pickup tube will pick it up. What if you're doing this? Well, you can rotate the pickup tube and it'll pick up off the back. So when the tank is up like this in the air, it will still pick up the rest of your material. You won't be starving for material. Otherwise, you can just leave it in the center position. So what else is in this little bag here? Of course, you got the paint fillers, you have a cleaning brush, you have 3 different sized nozzles, you have a little funnel, and you have a spare gasket, and the spare gasket is for here. Okay, before I get into putting this on the motorized part, and if you've never used a spray gun before, and this applies to not only this, but most spray guns, you'll see you'll have a nozzle on the front here, and this is, you can change that. Of course, you need to take this off when you're cleaning it anyway. But if you remove this here, you got the ring and the cap, and I just shot the nozzle across the room. So you have, there's 4 different size nozzles here. And depending on the viscosity of the material and how much material you want to come out at once. 1, 2, 3, and 4 millimeter. I'm looking at it, this would be, the white one's a 1 millimeter, the red would be the 2, the gray, maybe it's 2.5 and 3. I suppose if I looked in the book it would tell me. But I do not want to use the big one there, so we're going to stick with the smaller one here. So I'll set that back in there. And I'll put my ring back on it, and we'll talk about spray patterns. Okay, if you have the nozzle horizontal, like it is right now, mostly horizontal, a little crooked there. Okay, if you have this horizontal, the nozzle right here, it might be hard to see because it's black and hard to show that on a camera. At any rate, if it's horizontal like this, your pattern will be what I call a vertical fan. It'll be up and down like this, and then it will go out at an angle, so you will have a vertical pattern. If you turn this 90 degrees, so it is oriented like this, now you will have a horizontal pattern. So if you were painting something up and down this way, you would want to have that horizontal pattern. If you turn it at about a 45-degree angle, that makes somewhat of a round pattern, although it's not perfectly round, it's more of an oval. For what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be spraying this way. So I'll be keeping this in a horizontal position, so I will have that vertical fan, like so. Now to mount this to the motor, this thing is somewhat heavy. You see there's on the front here, there's a little lock and a little padlock, locked and unlocked. Just put it in there at an angle, and you turn it until it meets. There'll be a little indicator right there on the front of the paint gun, lines up with the padlock. And you've got a couple little fingers down here you just pop up, That locks it in place. Now for your material delivery, there's a knob right down here for how far you can squeeze this. So the more you back it out, the less material you're going to get. And the more that is, you back it out, it lets less material out. If you are having too much material come out at once, you're going to have runs and so on. And there is a power regulator up here at the top. Right now it's set to max. And it's got a little thing here you could, I don't know, I suppose you could hang that on something. Also, I should note that there's an air filter on this in the back. Little things here on the side you squeeze. A couple little foam filters in here. If you're using this a lot, you want to make sure you keep those filters clean. And don't operate it without the filters, because any dust or junk in the air will get picked up, put in the paint stream, and you'll have a messed up project. So why am I demonstrating this up here in the loft rather than down in the shop? Well, it's hot down there. Although I am going to take this down and we're going to get it loaded up here in a few minutes, and I'll paint one of these, or I should say poly coat one of these signs. You can see it in action. Point out one other thing, I've never used a paint gun before. I have this plugged in now, so it's going to make some noise. When you first pull this lever, that will turn on the motor. Then when you pull it further, that will deliver your material. So when you are painting, you don't want to just, it'll be easier for me to show this when I get downstairs, but when you are painting and you are coming, you go to start, you would start with just the airflow. And then as you get to your material or your project, you would pull the trigger farther, and then as you come back off of it, release it but still keep the air going. That keeps your nozzle clear and keeps you from getting plugged up. Okay, so I've got a piece of cardboard laying here. I'll fill this up. This is polyacrylic. It's a water-based clear finish. You can also use solvent-based finishes with this. You just need to use paint thinner or whatever is supposed to be used to clean that type of material. So, polyacrylic is clear, but it looks like milk when it comes out. And I have stirred that already. Don't shake polyacrylic or varnish, you put a bunch of air bubbles in it. So what I need to do here is pour some in here without spilling it everywhere. And that should be sufficient for what I'm going to be doing here. So I'll let that drip off. The can close back up. I don't believe I'm going to have to thin this. I don't think I am. If I do have to thin it, I will use some water to do so. Now to get your pattern set, you're going to want to spray this onto like a piece of cardboard first. And I need to plug it in. So to set my spray pattern, again, you pull part way back, no material. Once you pull all the way back, the material will start to come out. You can see how much material you have coming out by making some passes. Yeah, a little too much material there, so I'll crank this knob out a little farther. The cardboard doesn't want to stand up, that's fine. Still a little bit too much. Back this off some more. This is polyacrylic is fairly thin material. I'll try it here on the messy side. Back it off a little more. That's about where I want it. Now I'll get my project set up here. So what we want are even coats. Of course, this is laying flat, it's not going to run, but if you get it on there too heavy, it could very easily alligator, that is, get a bunch of little cracks in it and so on. So you want to keep the coats thin. Again, pull back part way. And that's what you call tack coat. So I will let that flash, that is dry. Of course, if this was a solvent base, I could almost go right back over it. But because it's water based and it's quite humid out here, I'm going to have to wait a little while for that to dry. Okay, I took that over. Yeah, I took that over and set it in front of the fan so it'll dry a little fast. It's a water-based finish. It takes a while. As I was looking at it over there, I think I want to put a smaller orifice in here, a smaller nozzle, because this polyacrylic has a very low viscosity. If you're using something like a house paint or maybe a wall paint, you might want to use the bigger nozzles, but for here I need the low viscosity, very thin material. You want a small nozzle in there. So I'm going all the way down to the 1 millimeter. Should give me a little bit finer finish, because after the one I just sprayed there, I've got some bamboo ones to do. And after you take this out, make sure you wash it. Now, since I changed nozzles, I need to check my material delivery. So put this cardboard here. Much better. Nice, even, no bubbles. Okay, this is dried, so I can put second coat on. I'm going to do it 90 degrees to what I did the first one. Again, start with just the air. And I'll set that back in front of the fan. Yeah, I flip my cardboard over here so that I don't get anything on the back of this. And this is the other side of this is a cutting board. Yes, this is bamboo, so I want to be able to keep the finish off the other side. That's why it's on a clean side here, and I don't want any residue. So there's the first coat. I'll let that dry. And then I'll top coat it. I'll put about 3 coats on this. And if you're seeing this or wondering about it, because this video is probably going to post before the actual project video for this, this is a upcoming laser project video on laser engraving on bamboo. So you're getting a sneak peek. Okay, first coat is dried. Good even coat on there. I'll just let this one dry. Probably do a light sanding on it and then put a final coat. Okay, once everything is done, it's cleanup time. So what do we need to do? Well, unlock your little latches right here on the sides. Give this a twist till the little thing goes up to the unlock, and you can pull that out. There's an O-ring there. Unscrew this. So much material. I don't have a whole lot in there. I did quite a few of these boards. So we need to pour the excess material back into the can. Since I didn't thin this, I could put it right back in without having to worry about polluting my finish. Now I'll wash this out real well, I'll rinse that off real well, then I'll fill this up with water, and I will run an entire tank of water through this. Then I will remove the nozzle as I did before, and I will wash that and make sure everything's clean. Oh boy, is it hot down there. At any rate, you can see how well this thing works. It works like a charm. You need to make some adjustments. If you think you have too much air coming with a lighter viscosity material like with that polyacrylic, you can turn this dial down right here and it'll release the amount of air that is blowing out of there. You can also adjust it by what size nozzle you're using. As you saw, I switched to the 1 millimeter because the viscosity of that polyacrylic is very, very thin. If you're spraying something like interior wall paint or something like that that has a high viscosity, you'd want to use the largest nozzle here, which appears to be this gray one. That will let more material flow through, and you'll have to, of course, adjust your material delivery and your power up here. But once you get it dialed in, you can just go to town. Yeah, it would also work with deck stain. It'll work with solvent-based materials. For example, if I was going to use regular polyurethane or something like that. Would I use this for, let's say, lacquer or urethane epoxy? Probably not. I have other guns that are specially made for that. Can you paint your car with this? Yeah, I suppose you could. I wouldn't. I'd be using a Binks gun or DeVilbiss, but that's up for, yeah, some people do that. Some people paint their cars with spray cans, so this would be a step above that for sure. So anyway, this Batavia gun works excellent. Again, it's not cordless. You do have to plug it in, but a cordless gun, and I've used one once before, and you're constantly screwing with the batteries, so I didn't want to do that. So the thing works excellent. Again, Batavia provided this to me to test and demonstrate, and as you saw, it does an excellent job for the application I was using it for. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. Roger, in the loft above the shop. It's air conditioned, trying to cool off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. There'll be a link in the description on where to get one of these.